7 rings? A perfect 10? The date from hell? Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up to all you helpless romantics out there, Blind Dater fans? I'm your host, Regina Coles. Welcome to the Blind Date After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. And today we are covering Season 1, of course, episodes 17 through 25. You heard me right, 17 through 25. Remember, we had a holiday, guys, so we got to play catch up. But it's all good. And I want to tell you, we've got a lot of great stuff going on today's show. I want you to stay tuned because I have a really interesting special segment I'd like to share with you. So for all of you out there who wonder, who is that sexy woman's voice doing the voiceovers during the dates and cracking all the jokes? We get to find out exactly who she is, so you don't want to go anywhere. And of course, we've got plenty of news and gossip, so stick and stay. So let's move on to my overall thoughts for these episodes. Well, let me say that they did it. They found the perfect couple because my overall thoughts, yay, Vito, you're on it. That is my producer, Vito, and he'll be chatting with me during the show. Of course, say hey, Vito.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be back. Good to be with you with Blind Date.
Yeah. So anyways, they did it. You know, just when I thought they couldn't find any compatible couples, they got a winner. So stay tuned for that one. But overall thoughts are, man, these guys don't have a lot of success in matching up the couples that they put together. Now, don't get me wrong. I know this show is not really a serious show, right? It's not a serious dating show like like The Bachelor, Vito, you know? I think this is just kind of a lighthearted.
I don't know if I would say The Bachelor is very serious either, though.
Well, it's more serious than this show, that's for sure.
Yeah,
you
very
know,
true.
I put The Bachelor high up on the podium, but I get what you're saying. I mean, you know, with dating shows, there's so much here and there. But anyways, so moving on, let's talk about the episodes. Now, first of all, I want to say that the type of dates that these guys go on, they borderline from like just totally ridiculous dates to boring. Like, for instance, okay, episode 17, our first couple was Brittany and Marcus. And so their date was in, they went to a boxing ring. So she was into working out, but he definitely wasn't into working out, and she totally slayed him. He wound up vomiting after they did a few rounds of boxing and some other things. So that definitely isn't impressive at all. And I don't know. After that, I would kind of think about maybe this date should end early, you know? But they went on and it got worse. Actually, I call this the worst date pretty much because halfway through the date, he couldn't remember her name. Now, would you stay in a situation where the person couldn't remember your name and you've been with them already for like a half an hour and he keeps saying, what's your name?
I empathize with this real quick, but I am working on this. There's no excuse to not remembering a name, but I am terrible with names.
Yeah, I mean, he asked her 3 times what was her name. And you know what? My thing would be, okay, like if you can't remember my name, let's just call it a night and goodbye. So to make a long story short, that's what she did. She wound up cutting the date short, and there you have it. She was a smart girl, in my opinion. The second date was really boring. That was kite flying. So
But kite flying is nice. That's a nice date.
If you have nice big kites that really can lift up into the air and they can take off with the wind, but these kites, I don't know where they got them from, but they weren't very airborne.
Oh, no.
It was, this was like a kite for a 2-year-old to be holding. So, I'm just saying the type of dates that they set up on this show are just not very interesting or realistic. Most people don't want to go kite flying with somebody that they're trying to hook up with or in a boxing ring getting all sweaty, but to each his own. So moving along to episode 18, Aaron and Brandon. And this date definitely was just not compatible at all because of the age difference. Now, Brandon was 25 years older than Aaron. So how do you set somebody up with somebody that older? It's like dating your dad. So
it depends on what you're into, because I think like age differences can make a difference.
25?
25. What was the age of the other
25-year age difference.
What was the age of the younger
Aaron
person?
was 24.
Okay. And then
Brandon was 49.
That's difficult for me because I don't know if I mind that.
That's too
because
much.
They're both consenting adults. But 25 years is a lot of time.
And these guys totally didn't match. I mean, Brandon was like a father figure in a way. I mean, they had a little sexual play, which, they had during their massages. But Aaron, he acted so immature and silly. So I really didn't think that this would lead to anything more than maybe not even a quick booty call because I think Brandon was like, you're not my type, you're too young. And, it didn't go anywhere. And the thing about this show is that they don't have a real big track record on second dates. So figure that one out. So the next couple, number 2, was Gabe. He was a singer from a boy band. And then Elena, and she was an events manager. And their date was candle making. So what do you think about going on your first date with somebody and making candles?
It kind of reminds, I think crafting is like not a bad first date idea. I think the candle idea is kind of cute. It's just like pottery or something else where it's like you're both, it's a very easy to get like an activity that you can both talk about and both mutually share. I think it's cute, personally. I might actually keep it in my books for later. Okay.
Well, candle making is not my thing. I love candles, but on a first date, I don't want candle wax in my nails.
I can understand.
I don't want to smell like a vanilla candle, even though I love vanilla candles. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just not my kind of thing of wanting to be on a date with somebody.
Yeah. Regina, what is your preferred first date? What is something that somebody could do that would just be like, oh yeah, this is a great activity?
Well, you know what? I like to be wined and dined.
Okay,
so
yeah. There's classic. It's classic.
I'm an old-fashioned woman. What can I say?
Hey, I like to be wined and dined too.
So hey,
I can't say anything against it.
Yeah, take me to a nice, quiet, romantic spot. It doesn't have to be super expensive. Just a place with some nice ambiance, maybe a little piano music in the background. So we can talk and get to know one another in more of a quiet setting. But I'll also tell you another date for me would be, I like going to sports bars because I'm really into sports.
Okay, yeah. I mean, is that something that you would be forthright with when you meet a person? You're like, yeah, I really like sports.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to the sports bar.
Because I feel like a lot of first dates are guessing games. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because you really don't know what that person likes.
Yeah, I agree.
And, now with social media, things are gotten really ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, this date was pretty much a disaster because the guy was like a real drinker, and he was saying that he's down for whatever. That's what he told her. And he had no manners. I mean, when he was ready to go to the bathroom, he said something like, I gotta go pee or whatever. And I'm like, seriously? You know, he took a drink and then he wiped his face with his hand and nose or whatever. And I'm like,
That's pretty gross.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff always grosses me out. First date or no first date, if you don't know how to like be genuine and healthy, like,
right.
I don't want to touch you. I don't want a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so basically this day ended with her saying there's no way she would go out with him again, and I agree. And that's the big thing about this show is what it is they need to do to turn it around so that maybe, you know, the dates will be a lot better quality and that people will, I think, be more interested in what they're doing. I mean, I don't want to go on a first date and strip down in my bikini and have somebody throwing paint on me.
I do have a question. Do you, in your opinion, for Blind Date, I think they're taking it way more of the raunchy direction.
Yeah.
Do you think that they would do better if they had like a wholesome direction where they were like, here's a bunch of really good first dates and here's like a bunch of good ideas for first dates?
Yeah.
Or do you think that like this is so ingrained in reality
I think
TV?
I would be more interested in somebody showing me what a good quality first date looks like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be raunchy and sexual because everything on the show is they wind up in the hot tub. And the hot tub is really freaky. So we'll get to that. But right now, what I wanted to do is thank all of our viewers out there for supporting AfterBuzz TV. We couldn't do it without your support. We really appreciate when you go on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, guys. That is just so awesome. And it's even more awesome when you go on YouTube and you subscribe to our channels and you give us the thumbs up and you leave all your wonderful comments, which a lot of us read, and I myself, a lot of times I respond back to your comments. So thank you so much for supporting AfterBuzz TV. Continue to support us. It's a new year, guys, and we've got a lot of great new things coming your way. So thank you. All right, Vito. So moving along, I'm going to go to episode 19, and this couple was Ricky and Joya. And they just didn't hit it off at all. Ricky was an Uber driver. Joya, she has a 12-year-old son. Ricky doesn't like kids. So Ricky is a guy that holds down 5 jobs. So nothing wrong with that because a guy that can hold 5 jobs says that he's a good worker. Yeah, right.
What is his schedule? What jobs?
Well, he's like an Uber driver, and then he's got these other like odds and ends type of jobs. So, hey, at least the man is making money.
It's nice work if you can get it, I guess.
Yeah. But anyways, he was bragging about his manliness. And so what I didn't like about this date, well, first of all, she told him that he wasn't as, he thought he was like a really manly, put-together guy, and she pretty much set him straight on that he wasn't. But the thing I didn't like about this date was that when they got in the hot tub, he was bragging about, oh, I've got a foot long. It's a foot long, this and that. And so he actually took his trunks off.
On TV?
Yeah. Well, he was in a hot tub, but still, he was naked.
It feels to me like these people don't know they're on TV, even though the camera is right there.
Well, you know what? I think she kind of challenged him because he bragged about he had this footlong because earlier in the date they went to a restaurant where they had a footlong hot dog. And so, of course, he made this sexual comment. And so then she was like, okay, if you got a footlong, then let me see it. And so she pretty much said it was like a 6-inch or whatever.
Oh, no. Oh, that poor man.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean,
Got wrecked.
I'm not looking to go on a first date and get into specifics about sex.
If that's your idea of like good conversation,
Right.
is talking about the size of your dick. Like,
there you go.
I just think you
You
need.
just put it out there, Vito.
But seriously, if that's your idea of a good conversation on a first date, I think you need to reanalyze what you actually care about,
Right.
in this situation.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, is this just a sign of the times? Because I was reading an article and watching a video that the show's producers made. And they were saying how they just really wanted to up the ante and that everything they were doing on the show was kind of going along with what's happening out there in social media. So, I mean, are people, young people in particular, are they just really going out there,
Yes.
you know, letting it all hang loose and just doing all kind of things sexually to date folks?
It is a very interesting time to be a woman, as I've seen, because a lot of women that I know get sent just pictures of dudes totally unasked for. So yeah, that is what guys are doing, and for some reason they think it's okay. It's very much not. It's illegal to do that, and also very rude and disgusting.
Yeah.
And it looks like they think that can carry on over to real life, which is terrible.
Well, but you know, I think when women put themselves in that position, it's even worse because, like the second couple, she was a very attractive blonde, and he was a good-looking guy. But they wound up getting in the hot tub, and the thing about this show is the hot tub is like always a freaky situation. And so they pretty much took turns. She was sucking on a banana, which was totally had like white cream on it. And I don't know. That's just not my idea of a fun date, guys.
People want to have sex, I guess. I don't know. It sounds to me like they have a particular group of people that they're looking for these, and as people who are very sexually charged for first dates.
Well, but the thing about this date was that they turned each other on, so they did have a second date.
Aw, good for them.
Yep. So they have not heard from them since.
Oh, no.
But they did go on a second date. And I can imagine with the way they were acting in this hot tub, that something definitely went on.
I think there's a chance that they probably didn't even contact them after the second date and probably still dated. Because they were probably like, let's get the cameras out of this. I want to do more.
Well, I think that is probably true. Most of the couples, even the ones that you really think might have a second date, they never hear from anybody on the show.
They need to give it more incentive, I think. I think there needs to be more incentive for the show to get couples back. Like, oh, we'll give you money to have this awesome second date if you can accomplish a really good first date.
Or go on a really nice romantic trip or something.
Yeah, because like right now it feels to me that they're just documenting first dates. There's no like, I don't think there's a competition, but like there's no incentive to do this besides being on camera, is there?
They might get paid.
Maybe.
I mean,
ooh, that would be weird. That would be weird.
With social media now and all the dating apps, what do you need to go on a show like this for?
To get people's attention, to get your face out there, in my opinion.
Well,
I think that's why. But you're right. I agree. You don't need to go on this show. I just think that's why people go on this show, probably.
Depending on what you do and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Most of the couples that have been on the show, I can understand why they probably did not want them to film them anymore because most of them have gone overboard drinking
Oh yeah.
and getting tipsy. I mean, we'll get to one young lady who really got tipsy, and I'm sure after she saw the tape back, she was probably pretty embarrassed. So, I mean, every date is drinking, and it's so much of a pattern. You know, they meet, they do a little date, arts and crafts, then they move on to eat. But it's not really eating, it's drinking. It's like a lot of tequila shots. So this show is really
Maybe they're sponsored by tequila.
spent a lot of money on tequila shots. And I have to tell you, a couple of the folks on the show who don't drink definitely did not drink. And so to me, hats off to them, because if you're not a drinker or if you don't feel comfortable drinking, especially knowing you're on TV and drinking too much, stick to your guns and don't do it. You know?
I mean, we've talked about this before on the show. I very much believe that.
That's how I
drinking
feel.
on a first date. I mean, if you're comfortable with it, you're comfortable with it. But like, I personally,
Yeah.
I don't know. I would drink, but maybe like a beer, maybe like a drink. I wouldn't drink to get drunk.
Yeah, on this show, it's not just a beer. You got to do some shots.
I wonder if producers are pushing that forward. Do you think that producers are kind of pushing
I'm
these
sure
people to drink more?
to a degree, and I'm sure some of the people are saying, "Oh, I'm nervous. I need a drink."
Yeah, because I do know that like on other reality shows, they do have drink like minimums. They're like, I think it was on Bachelor in Paradise, or maybe it was one of the island love
yeah,
shows
I think it was
where
Bachelor
you
in Paradise.
have to drink a certain amount
Yeah,
every day.
right.
Or like they just give you an amount of drinks, or like they just keep
wow.
feeding alcohol to the crew. And
Oh,
then,
that's not good to
yeah,
me,
it's not. But maybe that's what they're doing
It
with
makes
this
for
show.
an exciting, unpredictable show.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But anyways, so answer this question.
Yeah.
Would you date someone who told you they've been engaged 7 times?
That's a very complicated situation. They've been engaged or married?
Engaged 7 times.
Never
and
married?
twice.
Oh? How old? How old are they?
37.
Okay.
That's
a very,
busy.
That's a very busy, potentially 17 to 20 years
Yeah.
of dating.
And her friends call her the man eater.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor woman. Oh, it feels to me like if you're dating that many people and okay with people calling you that, or at least like your friends call you that, there's
Right.
probably something going on that you need to go to therapy
Well,
for.
the thing I didn't like about this date, and this is episode 20, the first couple, is she was a really nice looking woman, but I don't think I'm going to tell any guy that I was engaged 7 times.
I'm glad she's honest. I appreciate honesty in a relationship, and it's not that I think I would be upset if somebody didn't tell me that they were engaged 7 times. I guess it's just like, that's a pretty big thing. Like, you got engaged to 7 different people and
Right.
married to 2 of them.
And she got the diamond rings.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Does she still have them? Good for her, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
But anyways,
complicated. There's a lot to that.
so the guy in this episode, Wesley, he's a musician, 37, and same age as her, and he referred to her as a cougar.
That's not how that works. What's his name?
know.
Stanley? That's not how that works.
That is
Stanley.
not how that works. I'm like, dude, do you understand what a cougar means? I mean, I would be totally offended by that.
I think that he
If I
probably
was the
wasn't
same
thinking. Yeah,
age. I mean,
agree.
who are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
You
Like,
know, I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't like it if she called him an old man or, you know. But anyways, so their hot tub scene was very sensual. And they were kissing and everything. So she, you know, stopped it at a point. And, but she tempted him enough that they did have a second date.
Good for them. I'm sure that went well.
Wonder what kind of second date it was. Wonder if he'll be number 8.
Oh my God. He'd be a fool.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
she'd be a fool. Honestly, she'd be a fool to do that.
Right. So I think right now I want to get to, okay, I'm going to do one more couple and then we'll do our special segment.
Gotcha.
So the second couple, this was the perfect 10 couple.
Perfect 10?
Yeah.
That's so rare.
I know. And I was wondering, I said, where did they find these guys? Were these guys producers on the show?
Ooh, who could know?
Did they feel like they had to throw in a good quality date
Maybe.
to, reel us in? But anyways, these guys were so cute together, Kiki and Caleb. And
That's even a cute duo of names,
know.
Kiki and Caleb.
And I love their date. They went zip lining. Now that's fun.
That is fun.
I'm adventurous like that. I will try some adventure. I'll admit I'll get chicken at first, but then I'll go through with it with lots of prayer. But anyways, this is so far the best quality date on the show. They had a lot in common. They both sing in choirs. They love music. They were both homeschooled. And it was just a fun overall date with no sexual tension or pressure or anything like that.
That's good. Nice and wholesome.
So their date, instead of going to a restaurant, they had a nice picnic date.
Aww.
Yeah.
Ain't that sweet?
So they were awesome, and they did go on a second date.
And have we heard anything past that?
No, well, yeah, they showed pictures.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That's good.
maybe there is hope
Maybe
after
there is.
all.
Maybe there's hope for at least one of the, 25 of
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
yeah. So anyway, let's go to special segment. So, if you guys were ever wondering who that woman's voice is that's doing all the funny commentary during Blind Date, she is none other than Nikki Glaser. And she is a very successful comedian, and she hosts a show on Comedy Central every morning called You Up with Nikki Glaser for Sirius XM. And Nikki has been all over the map with comedy and had a recent special on Netflix called Banging. And she was in quite a few movies, so Nikki has been all over the place. But my question to everyone out there is, do you find Nikki's voice annoying because she's commentating during the dates and you have these like cartoon comic bubbles, the bubbles with text? I think that kind of cheapens the show.
Do you think that it would be better just completely without it? Do you think it would be better if it, for instance, was just the date with no cutover?
You know, what I think would be interesting is if she interviewed the couples after the date separately.
Interesting. I think that would be a good idea.
I think it would be.
To see how they both felt.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that would be hilarious, especially if you get like a guy that's like, oh, yeah, I thought that went great. And then you get a girl that's like, that was the worst date I've ever been on.
And you know what they could do is have the other person in another room where they can hear what they're saying.
Oh, my God. Oh, no. That would be
Okay,
terrible.
Bravo, call me up. I'm giving
jeez.
you an idea, Blind Date producers.
Yeah, come on. TM. We got to get that.
Right. So, yeah, I think that would make the show much more interesting than her chiming in with these little, what do you call the dialogue with
The like speech bubbles.
Yeah, comic. Like in a comic book. It makes it look like a comic book. Yeah. And I think it kind of, like I said, cheapens the show.
That's funny.
And it doesn't make it as serious, which I know it's not supposed to be as serious. But anyways, moving on to episode 21. The date was belly dancing.
Ooh.
Not for me.
I was about to say, wait, were they learning to belly dance?
Yeah.
Or were they, okay, they were learning to belly dance together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what I liked about this couple is they were the first couple to ever sit down, since I've been watching the show, to bless their food.
Interesting.
Now, I know not everybody's religious, and I'm not, in any way, putting any shade out there. But I thought that was a nice touch.
I'm glad that they had that in common.
Yeah, I mean, because that's something good to do. I do it myself before I sit down to a meal. I bless my food. But the other thing, this date turned south because when they went into the hot tub, he came with a scuba suit on.
Like a wetsuit?
Yeah, like scuba diving.
Did he have like all of the gear or just the suit?
The suit, but still, who does that? She was in a bikini. But the thing about him is like he really wasn't a drinker, so he did have a few drinks after he had something to eat, which was smart on his part. Yeah. But then he started dozing off in the car.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The man couldn't hold his drink.
No, that's embarrassing.
Oh, no.
And so she was like totally annoyed with him. And he told her, look, all I need right now is a pillow. Hello? Ew, ouch. So needless to say, that day did not last. And to cap it off, he got in the hot tub with socks on.
What?
That's real country to me.
Socks in the hot tub?
Socks in the hot tub.
No.
Yes. Oh, well, so.
This is how I feel about that.
Yeah. So moving along to couple number 2, she was a flight attendant and he was a golf pro. And boy, they were a nice looking couple. But the thing that really killed this from the start to me was she was obsessed with knowing if he wanted a lot of kids and wanting to know what his 5-year plan was.
Interesting.
And to me, I don't want anybody that I'm meeting for the first time to ask me something so personal as far as like, do I have a 5-year plan?
Yeah, I mean,
It's the first date.
Yeah, that makes sense. I maybe if you have a plan, that would be something you talked about, but pushing it a lot, I don't know if I would appreciate that very much because it's like, I barely know you.
Yeah. Another thing is with him being a pro golfer, he told her he's living at home with his parents and that he is still pursuing his dream. And she was like, well, he's living at home and I want some blonde hair, blue-eyed babies, gorgeous babies like Barbie babies, she said. So she came across really superficial. So for me, that would have been a real turnoff to me.
I agree. That's very, I mean, at least she knows what she wants, but that's a very specific thing to want.
Yeah. So, but anyways, to each his own. Mm-hmm. And moving on to episode 22, couple number 1. Let's see what I said about them. I said this was a ridiculous date. It was. Because the girl was a graphic designer and she had rainbow hair. And so their date was a photo shoot where they put him in a rainbow hair wig like hers and made him wear high heels.
Why?
Was
he expecting this?
No, he wasn't, but he's the kind of guy, he was a pretty, like a free-spirited guy.
That's cool.
And, but not anybody like, she wasn't like, head over heels for him in any kind of way. And the thing that really made this date bomb was after they did the photo shoot and he dressed up like her, so to speak, they went to a body painting studio.
Interesting first date.
Well,
idea.
So they're like slinging paint on each other. She's in a bikini, he's in briefs. Okay. And all of a sudden he reaches over and takes a wad of paint and plants it on her bosom.
Just slaps it right on there?
Yeah, so she, to me, he would have got slapped. Because why are you touching my body? But see, to me, they put them in that position with body painting. That's just something I wouldn't do. I mean, do you know anybody that goes on a first date and they go body painting?
Honestly, I don't know anybody that has gone body painting. It sounds like something that a few of my friends would like to do, but I don't think I know anybody that has done that.
And I mean, what's the thrill in that?
I guess it's that kind of intimate, like you get to be full front with somebody, and I don't know. I guess it's just silly. It's not the worst date idea in my opinion. It sounds like, but it's very. You have to be very comfortable to do that. Maybe not a first date idea. Maybe like that would be like, oh, we're dating after a while. This would be funny.
Yeah, ugh, no thanks. So moving on to couple number 2. They were a gay couple, and the one guy, he was a translator. The other guy was a realtor. The guy that was a translator, he just came on too strong for me. I mean, he pretty much told his blind date that he normally doesn't agree to go out with anybody unless he has sex with them first. I'm like,
he has sex with them first.
he has to have sex with the guy first.
I guess he's just getting right to the chase of what he wants. I mean, it's like, look, if we're not going to have good sex, I don't want to date you.
Yeah. And so the guy, Alan, who was, said, oh, what? It took him, he was shocked. But it ended up with the guy that wants to have sex pretty much dumping his drink on the other guy because he couldn't get him to drink, and
that's so messy.
he just wasn't agreeing to be sexual with him in any way. He didn't want to get in the hot tub or do anything.
That's so messy.
And I don't blame him.
I don't blame the other guy either, but he shouldn't get mad at the dude for not wanting to have sex with him.
I mean, I think anybody that tells you the first time they meet you, normally you would have to have sex with me first before I agree to go on a date with you. This guy was totally sleazy, and he would have been a total turn off for me. So I'm going to go through. We got a couple of more to go through, and then I'm going to do news, or we can do news now.
Either way that you want to do it.
Okay, well, let's just run through episode 24. There was no 23 because of the holiday. And these two, a restaurant manager and a realtor, a guy and a girl. And this was a really disastrous date because she talked the whole time and she was bossy. So she would have drove me crazy. And she did drive the guy crazy to the point they started cursing at each other.
Oh,
so
no.
if I got to be in a date in a situation where we're getting belligerent with each other. Yeah, I mean, it's time to cut the date short. Their date was horrible. They went out in the country somewhere. The show takes place in Atlanta. And they went to, escape rooms. This was like an escape shack.
Okay.
So it was a tacky date. And they wound up pretty much, he walked out on her.
No.
So, yeah. Right.
Oh, man.
So, the next date was really unusual because it was a guy and a girl, and they went painting. They went to a painting studio.
Okay.
But the thing is that they brought in a nude model.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, to me, you're bringing in a nude model. I mean, it wasn't his fault, but to me, what are you trying to say here? Or what are you trying to do? I would have been so offended by that because if I'm out trying to meet somebody on a first date, the last thing I want to do is throw a naked woman in front of him.
Yeah, I guess unless it's like both agreed upon. Like I know a bunch of artists, like that's like a sensitive topic for some artists because they're like, yeah, the nudity isn't necessarily sexual, but if neither of you are painters and you go to this paint studio and there's a nude woman, that's different.
Yeah.
Or a nude man. Or nude anybody.
So anyway, this date ended in a weird way at the hot tub.
Oh, no.
She was like throwing chocolate on him. He didn't appreciate that. Chocolate-covered strawberry. And he pretty much told her, yeah, I'm not interested. And she got out of the hot tub and she fell over.
Oh, no.
She had too much to drink.
Oh, no, that poor woman.
And that is one of my don'ts, guys. You don't go out drinking and so much that you lose control of yourself. Mm-hmm. You always should be in control of yourself, especially when you're on a first date.
Yep, I agree.
And ladies, be ladies. I mean, that had to be hard for her to look back and see the show, and she's like falling over. Yeah. And then slurring. Oh, that made it worse. And so our last couple, episode 25, was Tyler and Natalie. And Natalie was like a really strange young lady saying that she's always game for a good dick. And I felt like, wow, that is so tacky, so crude, and just no class.
That's really funny to
That's
me.
not, I mean, but a guy, what would be your impression of a woman telling you that on the first date?
I mean, the standards, in my opinion, are different from men to women when it comes to that, generally in like dating culture. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
How so? Standards.
I feel as though men are very, very often forward with that, and without like I don't know. I don't know really how to describe it, but I do know that I do know a lot of women that deal with a lot of men being like that forward and very unconsensually.
Well, this was a woman being that forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
But the thing about it was the guy she was on a date with is like a 25-year-old virgin.
I don't know. That's an interesting situation for sure.
So she brought out a board. They had a board for her to give him a sex ed class at the hot tub.
No. Oh, that poor dude. Hey, but good. Sex ed is important.
It is important. You know what? And that's what I put in my notes. It is important because for a lot of people out there, she showed him how to use a condom properly because he didn't know how. And, and that was definitely smart. Keep down the STDs. And she showed him a lot of other things with a banana and a peach, and I can go on and on and on, all the sexual play, So I don't know. I just feel like I personally don't really need you to come on a date with me and teach me about sex, but okay. And so our last couple were a gay couple, Kaylin and Darrell. And Kaylin is a go-go dancer. And so these guys met at a gym, and they pretty much posed for one another, lifting weights and doing a muscle thing and then oiling each other down. But their date wasn't really that interesting. The thing about them was when they got to the hot tub, the go-go dancers started doing the wave on the ground for him. So there you have it. And it was totally sexual, but no second date there. So do we have time for news or not?
I would say we actually should head towards wrapping up if we can.
Okay, well, we can save the news for next time. That's for sure. So thanks for joining us here on AfterBuzz TV, the Blind Date After Show. I'm your host, Regina Coles, and you can find me on Instagram at Regina Coles, and I'll see you next Sunday at 2 p.m. Bye-bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.